joining, and thank you to the SFR folks for having me today. My name is Agustina Macheta, and I'm a climate research associate at the San Francisco Environment Department. And I'm here today to share about the upcoming gas ban regulations that will be happening in the Bay Area and how to help residents future-proof their homes and how realtors will fit in helping us get there. But before we get started into all the details, I kind of wanted to share some context. So I'm sure many of you who were here remember waking up to the orange sky a couple years ago due to the heat waves that caused a lot of wildfires to break out here in the Bay Area. And that plus, the wildfires we've seen in Los Angeles this year are just some of the ways that our state is being impacted by the climate crisis. And so not only the state, but San Francisco recognizes that we are in a climate emergency and that we must reduce greenhouse gas emissions and our usage of fossil fuels, such as natural gas and petroleum. So to get there, here in San Francisco, we have set strong goals to reach net zero carbon by 2040 and shift towards electricity that is 100% renewably sourced from wind power, hydro, and solar power. In fact, we are at that goal. San Francisco currently gets 100% of its electricity from renewable sources. And so to understand the impact and the solutions at scale, let's take a look at the San Francisco emissions. So carbon emissions, they come from a variety of sources, as you can see, including agriculture and waste. But the majority of the San Francisco climate emissions are coming from natural gas used in buildings and petroleum fuel used in cars and trucks. So to eliminate these emissions, we have to electrify and be able to use that renewable energy that I shared. And so what is electrification? Some of us have taken the first steps in ditching fossil fuels by electrifying. This could look like adding solar panels to your roofs. A few of us maybe have electrified our vehicles. And, electrifying our appliances at home, that's really the next step to really get us there to net zero emissions. And this is important because the state and the Bay Area, as well as the city, have some upcoming regulations that will help us to get to net zero, but we will need to adjust to these changes. So these will begin in 2026. So here in San Francisco specifically, starting next year, the use of gas power lawn equipment, like those loud leaf blowers that stink up in the air, those will be banned starting in 2026. And they can be replaced by electric equipment. But I guess the most important one to really plan for is the upcoming Bay Area Air District regulations. Starting in 2027, the Bay Area will ban the sale of gas water heaters, followed by the sale of gas furnaces in 2029. So this doesn't mean that you or your clients, the residents and homeowners have to, get rid of their gas appliances in 2 years. But it just means that if their gas appliances were to break starting in 2027, they will have to replace them by electric alternatives. And, we kind of say that electrification is like the new recycling, because our goal really, and why you're here today, is to help us spread the word. These are perhaps switching the leaf blowers that can be an easy switch, but electrifying your home may require some extra planning. And, these regulations are coming soon. And so we really just want every resident in San Francisco to be aware of these regulations that will be impacting them eventually, whether or not they install a gas water heater the day before the rule goes out and they have 8 years still to plan it, or the gas water heater breaks the day before the regulation goes on, or the day of. We just want them to be prepared. And so our goal is to spread the word and get to a point where everyone knows what electrification is, just like recycling, maybe they're not doing it yet, but they understand, what the needs are and the requirements, and also the connection of why we're doing this to get to our climate goals here in San Francisco. And so something that we how do you all fit in this conversation? So like I mentioned, we would love if you could share about these upcoming regulations and prepare the resident and the homeowner. But also, realtors can kind of pitch in the benefits of electrification and why it's important to do it now. So there are incentives available now that the resident may be able to benefit from. Also, there's this idea of strategic timing. So electrifying while they're about to sell their homes, if the homes are empty, that's a really good time to do so. Also, letting them know to avoid some costs. So if they were to replace, for example, if there's a home seller that you're working with, sorry, a home buyer, and they know that they will have to replace the water heater soon, but within the time frame before 2027, you would let them know to not to avoid some costs and replace the gas water heater with an electric one rather than a gas one that will be obsolete in the future anyway. And also, this is a way for you all to encourage action. Either the home sellers or home buyers, let them know that by electrifying, they're also future-proofing their home. And this is an opportunity for you to kind of put yourselves in a position of experts in future-proof homes and sustainable and healthy homes. So now that we all know what electrification is, let me pitch you the benefits, because there are plenty. So starting with performance, there are an array of performance and efficiency benefits of electric equipment. Electric technology for your home and for vehicles also tend to work better. And it can be an upgrade for homes, one that people will notice direct benefits on a daily basis. So for example, induction stoves, they're faster and cleaner to use, and EVs are smoother and require less maintenance. Electrification not only provides more comfort, but also it enhances resilience to the changing environmental conditions that we're seeing. So for example, electric heat pumps, they provide dual heating and cooling, and induction cooktops can reduce kitchen heat. So these two things can help individually combat heat waves in people's homes, depending on where they are. San Francisco, thankfully, we don't experience that many heat waves, but there are some parts of the city that when we do get hotter days, their homes get a lot hotter than other parts of the city. So that's a good way to be resilient to the heat. And also electric vehicles will maybe soon serve as backup batteries for your home, storing renewable energy and help balance the grid. And finally, I wanted to talk about like community resilience, because electricity restoration after a disaster, for example, an earthquake, is a lot faster than gas line repairs. So not only are we improving like each individual's home resilience to heat waves or whatnot, but also the entire community's resilience to any disaster. I also wanted to mention that there are some potential cost savings. So if you have an EV, for example, you will save money on maintenance and fuel, especially if you're producing your own power with solar panels on your roof. And I also wanted to share that the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, that is tied directly to every resident here in San Francisco that has a PG&E bill, they are going to offer on-bill credits of $50 a month for the next 2 to 3 years if you have an electric water heater. And perhaps the best reason to electrify is because electrification improves home air pollution and safety by eliminating gas pollutants and fire hazards as well. So emissions from gas power equipment, they impact human health, and electrifying reduces the risk of asthma, cancer, and other health impacts. And I see that there's a question in the chat. Sorry, I forgot to mention, but if you do have any questions, yeah, please put them on the Q&A, and I will address them at the end of the presentation. So just hang tight. And I wanted to share, these are some slides that the Physicians for Social Responsibility have shared with us. They've done great research on the impacts of gas appliances in our homes and to our health, and also in the entire community, so outdoor air pollution and indoor air pollution. And you can see here that air pollution from gas stoves, for example, emits all these different pollutants, and they lead to all these different health impacts. And I'll just give you a second to read them. They also found out that indoor air pollution from gas stoves is similar to secondhand smoke, and that children are at great risk because they are more active, and they breathe more air per pound of body weight. Their bodies are also still developing, so they are more vulnerable to toxins. So this is something perhaps that would resonate with a client of yours that has a family, or that has younger kids. And they also found that outdoor air pollution in the Bay Area, the gas water heaters and the gas furnaces are producing more outdoor air pollution than cars. And they have some stats here that electrifying these appliances could prevent multiple deaths per year, new cases of asthma per year, and visiting emergency rooms and lost work days. Okay, so now that we all agree that electric is better, I'll walk us through how to exactly make the switch and what does that look like so that you can share this with your clients. So many of the households here in the Bay Area, they use at least one of these gas appliances, so either a gas water heater or a gas dryer, stoves, furnaces, or boilers. And so there's a large variety of actions that a homeowner could do to electrify their home. And so in this graphic here, I'll walk us through each appliance and how it works. So starting with solar panels, most of you probably are aware, solar panels are an effective way to cut energy bills by producing clean power on your own rooftop. And the thing about solar PV is that for fully electrified homes, this could help meet the increased electricity demand of the home and reduce that reliance on the grid. And although the upfront cost of solar may be intimidating and something to consider, this cost will be recuperated over time through reduced energy bills, especially during the summer months if you're using AC. Now I wanted to talk about heat pumps. So heat pumps would act as a way to replace a furnace or a boiler. And the nice thing about heat pumps is that they pull heat from outside air to heat your home more efficiently than a gas furnace. So they can also run in reverse to cool your home, which is nice during the summer heat waves, like I mentioned. And like all heating and cooling systems, heat pumps work best in conjunction with properly installed air sealing and insulation. And this can also help cut energy bills and make the home just more comfortable year-round. Heat pumps come in both ducted and ductless models, so they can fit whatever need of the home. There's also mini split, so if there's a smaller home with fewer rooms, perhaps a mini split, which is just adding basically looks like an AC to each room, maybe more affordable than changing the entire ducting. But if there's a bigger home with multiple rooms, that may be a better alternative. Some other benefits of heat pumps is that they're quieter. They purify the air, so we're not emitting any gas balloons like we saw. And they also don't combust gas that generates carbon monoxide, which can be very dangerous for the homeowners and residents, improving indoor air quality and also home safety. And I just wanted to share just some kind of comparisons here. Heat pumps are a lot more efficient than gas furnace because, like I mentioned, they are just pulling air from the outside, either to heat the home or to cool it. So they're not generating that hot or cool air. They can be a lot more precise. And so you can change the temperature per room. So if you're, working downstairs, you don't need to, turn the AC on upstairs in your entire home. They're safer, like I mentioned. And yeah, the nice feature is that it provides both heating and cooling, so you don't have to install a different AC and a furnace. Now, I wanted to talk about the heat pump water heater. So this would serve as an electric alternative to the traditional gas powered water heater. And heat pump water heaters, similar to heat pump space heaters, they rely on the transfer of heat and energy rather than generating it. So providing hot water much more efficiently than a gas electric resistance or electric resistance water heater. The heat pump water heaters are actually up to 50% more efficient than a natural gas water heater, and they have a longer lifespan. So I mentioned that the heat pumps for space heating are also efficient, but the heat pump water heaters are even more efficient. And there's an opportunity to design the tank according to each family's needs to ensure that there's always hot water ready. And lastly, a nice feature about heat pump water heaters is that they cannot explode. So that's some peace of mind for sure. There's also heat pump dryers, same idea, same technology. And the nice thing about these is that they're a lot easier to install since they don't require any venting to the outdoors. They're gentler on clothes, and again, they have a longer lifespan. And the last electric component that I want to talk about is using an induction cooktop in place of a gas stove. And this one will likely have the most direct impact on the residents, and they offer a lot of exciting benefits. I have one myself, and I've been really enjoying it for the past 2 years. So the way induction works, some of you may be familiar, but it's not the electric or it's not electric stoves. This works a little bit different. So it works through magnetism, and that actually quickly and efficiently heats and cooks food. So beneath the cooktop is a coil of copper wire that produces a magnetic field. And if there's magnetic or a pan that is made out of iron or stainless steel that can transfer magnetism, once it reacts with the cooktop, that it creates magnetism, which is directly heating the pan and cooking your food. So because the heat transfers directly to the pan rather than passing through another element, this method is super efficient and also easier to control than like the electric cooktops that you may be familiar with that take a long time to like heat up and then turn down the heat. It's just a little bit easier to use induction. And this cooking method has been mainstream for decades in other parts of the world. And it's finally gaining popularity among chefs because it just offers a wide array of benefits over gas stoves. So I just wanted to do like a cross comparison. Induction is faster cooking, like I mentioned. It can boil water in under 2 minutes compared to 5 to 8 minutes on a gas stove. There's better indoor air quality, so no methane, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde that children will be exposed to or your families. It's a lot safer. There's no open flame or risk of fire. And also the surface doesn't heat up like an electric cooktop does. So as long as there's no pan reacting with the cooktop, if the cooktop is left on, it actually won't be producing any heat. So that's nice too, because then you're sure your electric bill won't go up if you forgot to turn off the stove or the cooktop. And if you are cooking with kids, they may be able to like touch it and not burn themselves. It's possible though that the top will stay hot after a couple of minutes of cooking because the pan will actually get the cooktop hot after reacting with the coils and cooking your food. but it won't be like burning hot that will cause any burns. So that's nice for the little ones. It's a lot easier to clean because it's a flat surface. So that actually has been one of my favorite features. And it's a lot more precise because you can change the temperature like as you go, which is more consistent for cooking. And I wanted to provide some other options because there are some lower cost and renter friendly options for induction cooktops, as well as other like countertop options such as toaster ovens and air fryers. And these are just portable cooktops, which is nice. That's what I have. You can just plug it in and don't have to worry about the remodel or whatnot. And lastly, I wanted just to talk about EVs really quickly. So many of you might be familiar with an electric vehicle. They run on electricity instead of gas. And at this point, every major car manufacturer has an EV or has committed to making EVs within the next 10 years. So there's a lot of options out there for whatever fits your need. And when you make the switch to an EV, you could charge it directly using the cord that comes with it by plugging it into a regular outlet at home that you may use to charge your phone or your laptop. And this kind of charging is referred to as level 1 charging. So you don't have to make any installation or panel upgrades in your home. However, this might just be if you are using a car like just very infrequently, or you're not driving too many miles, because it charges a lot slower. However, if you are driving more, you could consider a level 2 charging port that could fully charge your car overnight. And this would require some panel upsizing because the voltage would be a lot higher. However, if you don't have a personal charging point or a way to charge at home, most cities have public EV chargings. There's also DC fast charging ports that act like gas stations, so you can just come in and charge in 15 to 30 minutes. And a good website to figure that out, it's called plugshare.com, is a convenient tool to find available chargers near you if you have an EV. And lastly, just wanted to make the case about electric landscaping equipment. This actually will be banned, not just the sale of it, but the use of it starting in 2026. Most people have, landscapers that come in, but some homeowners may do the landscaping themselves. So it's important to let them know that this regulation is coming soon. And thank you for bearing with me. I just wanted to talk about the final switch. If you are going to electrify your home, or if your clients will electrify their homes, it's really important that they switch their rate plan on their PG&E account to the eElect. This will give them a better rate for having any of these appliances, so either an EV or a battery, heat pump, HVAC, water heater, etc. And now I wanted to address some common concerns that we hear. So, will you need a new panel to electrify? So that really depends on the home. There is a possibility to fully electrify at home without upgrading the service, but it depends on the current electrical panel that you may have, or that your clients may have, and also the total load of the appliances that you plan on installing. So if your existing panel can handle the additional load, you may not need to replace it. However, if it is outdated or insufficient, you might need to upgrade to a new panel to support the increased electrical demand. And that is perhaps more likely here in San Francisco. We have, as you know, an older housing stock, but perhaps, the appliances they don't have as high voltage. Like there are some heat pump water heaters that are under 120 volts. So there are some ways, but again, this requires planning. There's actually some advisors out there that will help you create an electrification plan, and they will do it for free. So I'll talk about some resources later on. And yeah, there's the big elephant in the room is cost. And when looking at costs, there are two things to note. The electric bill is one of them, and the infrastructure cost. So, we do recognize that electricity has been getting more expensive in California. And what some of the ways to cut the bill costs is by installing efficient appliances. So a heat pump water heater instead of a electric resistance water heater, or similarly an induction stove instead of an electric resistance cooktop. They tend to be a lot more efficient, so they will utilize less electricity than the electric counterparts that I mentioned. Also installing solar if it is within the capacity, that can ease the bill cost completely. Also, scheduling automatic energy use to avoid peak energy rates is a good way to reduce the bill. So normally the most expensive time to use our electric appliances is during the afternoon, the late afternoon. So if you choose to, I don't know, maybe cook earlier or do your laundry earlier, and if you are really organized like that, then that may be a good solution for you or for your client. And again, I wanted to mention the $50 a month on-bill credit that the PUC will offer for the next 2 to 3 years. And then thinking about upfront cost and the whole infrastructure, there are some green financing solutions. They offer 0% loans to be able to do this kind of work in a home. And there's also currently available state rebates to install heat pumps, induction stoves, and heat pump water heaters. Those are dwindling, unfortunately. So now is a really good time to make use of them, especially once the regulations kick in. There will not be any rebates available. I also wanted to address power outages. I understand those are a concern, particularly in some part of our state. And if you electrify your home and do not have a backup power source, it will not operate during a power outage. So to maintain power during outages, you and your clients can consider installing a backup generator or a battery storage system. However, I did want to point out that in San Francisco particularly, some PG&E data that we gather, San Francisco residents experience around 4.2 hours of power outages a year. So thankfully, power outages are not that big of a concern here in our city as it might be in other parts of California. And lastly, I wanted to talk about the grid. Can the grid even handle all of these homes in San Francisco going electric? And I just wanted to mention that it's possible to electrify buildings without increasing peak electric demand. So, for example, it's not about peak energy use, or actually it's about peak energy use, not the total load. So we can all electrify as long as we're not all using all of our appliances all at once every single day, or at the same time. So yeah, the grid can handle it. Everybody can electrify. And thanks to the efficiency of electric technology, the increased winter electric demand due to electrification is not going to exceed the existing summer electric demand due to air conditioning that we're experiencing. All right. So lastly, let's talk about some resources. Like I mentioned, there is urgency to act now because of the incentives that are available now. And also for homeowners, it's important that, they start to get ready now because the regulations are still far away, but it's important to make a plan because some projects may require higher costs or more prep, depending on like the panel or the service that the home is receiving from PG&E. And it's a good way to think about how to electrify the most efficiently, to save money, and also to make sure that it's the most like electric efficient and the bills are not expensive. So there are available advisors and coaches that can help residents make an electrification plan, and they will be able to identify the available incentives and how to make the best change and switch to electrification. They will also help identify some other financing ways and contractors available that could help you or your clients electrify your home. And this is just for renters that I'm not going to mention here, but we have on our website. And I wanted to point out here at the San Francisco Environment Department, we have a program called the Direct Install Program. It's a part of our larger program, the Climate Equity Hub. And basically it offers eligible San Francisco residents a free heat pump water heater installation. So we cover the cost of installation, the heat pump water heater costs, and the coordination with the contractors. So eligible residents just need to sign up. So there are some qualification requirements. So perhaps you might be working with a homeowner that may qualify or not, but renters also do qualify as long as their landlord gives us the blessing. Lastly, there are some EV incentives available, like tax credits or utility rebates that your clients may be, or they might want to consider. There are some eligibility requirements, and the same thing goes for charger incentives. And there's a website called driveclean.california.gov that it's a good tool to look up what incentive you may qualify for depending on your income or the type of appliance that you're installing. This is just for EVs though, either chargers or the actual vehicle. And lastly, I did want to share our website, betterelectric.org. It's a great tool for you to share with your clients. We outline the benefits of electrification, the elements of an electric home, like I walked us through earlier, some technical and financial resources, and some other FAQs like I shared today. So it's a great resource for you to pass along and for them to check, what resources they could apply for. And also we're updating this website regularly, so all the information should be up to date. And finally, I just wanted to share the key takeaways of this presentation. Electric is better, healthier, and safer. You can help us spread the word and get the residents prepared for this transition. And yeah, the PUC will give $50 a month to switch, and you can find all resources at betterelectric.org. All right, thank you so much for bearing with me for all of this. I'm gonna open the Q&A now. Okay, can you share this slide deck after the meeting? Yes, I will share the entire slide deck as well as the link to our website that has all the specific resources. Is a tankless water heater better than a big tank, even though it's still supplied with gas? Tankless water heater. You know what? I'm actually not familiar with a gas-powered tankless water heater. So I will get back to you. I'm not sure who that is, but I will reach out to some of my colleagues, the contractors, and Genevieve, I'll just share that with you, and then you'll be able to share this with the participants, hopefully. Okay. Okay. As someone who recently had to replace my gas furnace, I really wanted to electrify my house, but the cost was 3 to 4 times, and the retrofit would involve opening up my ceiling to install the mini splits so they could route the venting to new locations based on where they could install the pump, which would be so much more involved and add more cost. When do you expect the cost to come down? My gas furnace was $6,000 and was installed in 3 hours. The mini split was going to be over $20,000 and multi-week process. Yeah, and like I mentioned, that is a reality that we're hearing. And I'm sorry that it, took a lot more to electrify the home. Yeah, that is a good question. I think that once the regulations come in, with more demand for electric heat pumps, hopefully that would bring down the prices. But yeah, we do understand that at the moment it's a lot more convenient to do gas, even if you have the rebates. So also it might depend on the home, like some homes might be less costly. And that's why we are starting with the heat pump water heaters, or the Bay Area starting with the regulations of heat pump water heaters, because they might not require such an extensive project like the heat pumps might. And I think the total cost, without rebates, it's around $10,000. With rebates, it might be comparable to gas at the moment. But yeah, that is a reality. And on top of that, yeah, we are experiencing less rebates from the state due to the new federal administration. So yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you for your question, though. And what is the EV charger website again? Let me just pull it back up. It's called this one, driveclean.california.gov. And I'll share all of these slides as well. Will the planning department make changes a priority and easy? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm with the environment department, but based on my conversations with the planning department, that is something that they are prioritizing. The building inspection department is a little different. And I think there was a Senate bill introduced, Senate Bill 282 by Scott Wiener, about streamlining the permit process for heat pump water heaters specifically. I was trying to track that this week. It seems like it hasn't passed yet, but it might have been paused. But I know that our San Francisco planning department does want to make it easier, and the contractors need it to be easier. So it is something that we are working on alongside with the planning department to make it happen as soon as possible, either in 2025 or beginning of 2026. Okay, and then tankless water heater. Yeah, again, I know that tankless water heaters are an option. I'm just not the most familiar with them, so I'll do my research, and I'll get back to you shortly. Great. Well, thank you all for your questions. I will also put down my email so that you can reach out to me, and I can perhaps share these what I find out about the tankless water heater directly.
And then can you send over the slides, and when we upload the video, we'll add the link to the slides to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'll send over the slides. I'll also put down our website. There we go. And yeah, and just lastly, I wanted to thank you all for coming. And yeah, if you feel a little bit more of an expert in electrification, this is just some things that you can let homeowners know. The most important thing is just letting them know that the regulations are coming, and that there are some considerations depending on the home. Like we've seen earlier, somebody's project was a lot more costly, and so just at least understanding the capacities, I think it's a good start for now. Okay, NORAD's it costs 3 times. I see. Great. Well, thank you so much, and thanks Aspar for organizing and having me today. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you.